The hospital looked exactly the same. The same sterile hallways. The same white walls that smelled like death and bleach. Only one thing was different. Me. 8 years ago, I was just another desperate husband begging doctors to save his wife. Now I was the man they should have saved her from. My ID badge read Dr. Daniel Cross, Biomedical Research Division. Fake name. Real credentials. It had taken me years to build this life, one brick of deception at a time. Medical school, forged records, silent favors. Every step brought me closer to this building. I knew every security code, every camera angle, every locked room where they hid the truth. The experiment they performed on her was never an accident. It was part of a trial funded by a private company, Neurochem Labs. They were testing a neural serum that could regenerate damaged brain cells. It worked until it didn't, and when it failed they buried everything, including her. No one cared. No one remembered, but I did. That night as I walked down the silent corridor, I passed the room where she took her last breath. Room 314. I could still hear the monitor flatline in my head, over and over like a cruel lullaby. Dr. Mercer walked by, nodding at me. He didn't recognize me. Of course he didn't. He had aged, his hair thinner, his smile faker. He was the one who signed her death report. The first name on my list. "Long shift tonight, Cross?" he asked casually. "Yeah," I said, forcing a polite grin. "Running data checks on the neural scans." "Good. Keep it up. We've got another round of human testing next week." Human testing. The same phrase that stole everything from me. When he walked away, I could feel my pulse in my throat. I'd imagined this moment for years. Mercer was still here. Still confident. Still untouchable. But not for long. Back in my lab, the hum of the refrigeration units filled the air. Rows of vials glowed under blue light. Serums, compounds, prototypes. Their secrets. My tools. I opened my notebook. Every page was covered in names, numbers, and dates. Target 1, Dr. Jonathan Mercer. Target 2, Dr. Evelyn Shaw. Target 3, Dr. Henry Vale. They called themselves pioneers. But they were just murderers wearing gloves. I reached for the vial I'd spent months perfecting, a formula designed not to kill but to expose. Injected in small doses, it caused hallucinations, paranoia, and temporary memory regression. I called it Echo 3. They'd feel what my wife felt, the panic, the confusion, the terror, before it all went black. That was my justice. At 3:47 a.m., the hospital was silent. Mercer's office light was still on. He was always there late, drinking coffee and pretending to care about data. I walked in quietly, clipboard in hand. "Dr. Mercer?" I said softly. "You asked for a progress sample?" He barely looked up. "Just leave it on the desk." I placed the vial beside his cup. "Sure," I said. "Fresh batch." He didn't even thank me. Just took a sip of his coffee, flipping through the papers. I watched as the first drop of Echo 3 slid down his throat. 10 minutes later, the tremors began. He staggered to his feet, clutching his head. What the hell, Daniel, what did you?" He froze, staring past me, eyes wide. He saw something that wasn't there. Something that I saw 8 years ago. The flicker of the monitors, the sound of her screaming his name. "Make it stop," he gasped. She's talking to me." I leaned closer, whispering. "She remembers you, doctor." He collapsed, shaking. The monitors screamed their alarms as I stepped back into the hallway, calm and cold. No one saw me. No one would ever know. That night, I stood outside the hospital again the same way I did 8 years ago. But this time I wasn't helpless. 1 down. 2 to go. By morning, the hospital was chaos. Dr. Mercer's death was officially ruled as a cardiac event during a late shift. No one questioned why a man with perfect health suddenly collapsed, eyes open in terror. No one except Dr. Evelyn Shaw. She was sharp, too sharp. Head of ethics, clinical psychologist, and the only person I ever feared might see through me. When she walked into the lab that morning, her heels echoed like gunshots in the sterile corridor. "Dr. Cross," she said calmly. "You were one of the last to see Mercer alive, weren't you?" "Yes," I replied, forcing a neutral tone. "I dropped off some samples for him." She studied me for a moment, her blue eyes unblinking. "Strange," she said. "The toxicology report found traces of a compound we can't identify. Mercer didn't log any new substances." I shrugged. "Maybe contamination from another lab." She tilted her head. "Maybe. Or maybe someone wanted it that way." That night I didn't sleep. I watched the hospital cameras from my laptop, every hallway, every angle. They didn't know it, but I'd been inside their system for months. One wrong move and I could erase myself from their records forever. But something about Shaw kept me uneasy. She was methodical, disciplined, and she cared. Not in a performative way, genuinely. The others never did. She visited Mercer's office that night, sitting silently at his desk for almost an hour. Maybe she felt guilty. Maybe she knew. Either way, she was next. 2 days later, the board announced that Mercer's position would be temporarily filled by Dr. Shaw. That gave her unrestricted access to the Level 4 lab, where the original Neurochem project files were hidden. I'd been waiting for that. At 1 a.m. I entered through the west wing. No cameras, I'd looped the feed. Shaw was still there, her face lit by the glow of the monitor. She looked tired but focused, scrolling through files I'd seen 1,000 times. Then she stopped. Her expression changed. She found something. Project Echo, she whispered, scrolling faster. Unauthorized trials. 2017, subject fatality. Her hand covered her mouth. She'd seen my wife's name. I stepped inside the room. You shouldn't be looking at that. She spun around. Daniel? How do you wait? You knew. I closed the door behind me. I was there, I said. You all were. Her voice trembled. You were her husband? I nodded. There was a long silence between us, broken only by the hum of the cooling vents. She didn't deserve that, Shaw said softly. None of this should have happened. She died screaming, I whispered. While you and Mercer signed papers calling it an anomaly. Her eyes glistened. I tried to stop it. They threatened me. My career, my life. Then you should have lost them, I snapped. Instead, you let her die. She took a step forward, hands shaking. Daniel, listen to me. Whatever you think you're doing, this isn't justice. It's just more death. I reached into my coat, pulling out a syringe. The same one that ended Mercer. She froze. I'm not here to kill you, I said quietly. I want you to remember. Her eyes widened. What's in it? The truth. I moved closer. She didn't resist. Maybe she knew she deserved it. I injected the serum into her arm, just enough to open the door in her mind. Her pupils dilated instantly. She gasped, grabbing the desk for balance. Daniel. I can hear her. She's crying. She's been crying for 8 years, I said. Welcome back. When I left the room, Shaw was on the floor, whispering apologies to a ghost that would never answer. I erased the security footage and walked out into the night. 2 down. 1 left. But that's when things changed. The next morning, my access card didn't work. Every monitor in the lab displayed the same message. Access revoked. Security alert. Someone new. I rushed home, but my apartment was already turned upside down. Files gone. Laptop missing. Only one thing left on my desk. A single envelope. Inside was a photo. Me, taken from a hospital security feed, standing in Mercer's office. And beneath it, a note written in perfect, clinical handwriting. We need to talk. Dr. Vale. Vale. The last name on the list. The one who had ordered the experiment. The one who started it all. He knew who I was. He wanted me to come to him. And I would. But not to talk. I didn't run. I didn't hide. For the first time in years, I felt alive. Vale wanted me to come, and I would. But not quietly. The rain poured as I drove toward the old industrial complex on the city's edge. That's where they built the neural interface units, where my wife died. The same walls that took everything from me. The security checkpoint was empty. The gate opened on its own. They were waiting. Inside, the air smelled like chemicals and rust. Machines hummed softly in the dark, still running after all these years. The sound felt almost alive. Like the building itself was breathing. Then I saw him. Dr. Adrian Vale. Still in his immaculate suit, not a wrinkle out of place. Age had only made him colder. Eyes like polished glass, voice calm, calculated. Daniel, he said as if greeting an old colleague. You finally decided to stop hiding. You killed her, I said. My voice barely a whisper. You killed all of them. He smiled faintly. Killed? No. We created something extraordinary. She volunteered, remember? Every signature, every test, she was part of something far greater. She trusted you, I snapped. And you fried her brain like data on a corrupted drive. He sighed, walking closer. You see the world in black and white, Daniel. But science lives in the gray. He tapped a button on his wrist pad. The lights flickered on and I froze. Rows of cryopods lined the chamber walls. Inside each one, a body. connected to wires, breathing tubes, monitors still pulsing with faint blue light. And then I saw her. My wife. Still sleeping. Impossible, I whispered, knees going weak. She's dead. You. She was clinically dead, Vale said. But her brain patterns persisted. The serum we developed rebuilt neural pathways. She was our first success. He turned toward me, his smile widening. Daniel, she's alive. My hands trembled. It couldn't be real. The hope I'd buried under years of rage clawed its way back, desperate, fragile, uncontrollable. You lied, I said. You let me believe she was gone. We couldn't risk you interfering, he said calmly. Your grief made you predictable. Useful. Useful? The word broke from my throat like a scream. You turned me into a murderer. He didn't flinch. Call it what you want. But you eliminated two liabilities who were going to expose us. You did my cleanup for me. That's when I realized I was never the hunter. I was the weapon. Vale pressed another button. The pods began to drain. Her pod hissed open, releasing a cloud of vapor. Her chest rose slowly, trembling breaths escaping her lips. She looked the same, peaceful, untouched by time. I stumbled forward. Emma? Her eyes opened and I froze. They weren't her eyes anymore. Cold. Empty. Artificial. Vale's voice echoed behind me. She remembers you, Daniel. But not as her husband. As the subject. You were both part of the experiment, you just don't remember it. I turned to face him. You're lying. He stepped closer, eyes gleaming. A car crash. A serum. A memory rewrite. You think that was an accident? You were the second phase. Your rage, your grief, all data. All part of Echo. Emma stood now, unsteady, her movements mechanical. She looked at me with a strange mix of curiosity and confusion. Daniel, she said softly, why are you crying? Her voice, it was hers. But wrong. Because you're not real, I whispered. She tilted her head. Neither are you. Then everything went black. When I woke up, I was back in the hospital. Same sterile white walls. Same smell of antiseptic and metal. Except this time, I was in the bed. Wires in my veins. Monitors tracking every heartbeat. A nurse entered. Good morning, Dr. Cross, she said. Dr. Vale will see you now. The door opened. Vale stepped in, clipboard in hand, smiling. How are we feeling today? He asked gently. Any dreams you want to talk about? I tried to move, but couldn't. Every muscle locked. Vale scribbled something on his chart. Fascinating. Subject 17 continues to demonstrate vivid recursive delusions of autonomy. He looked at me one last time. Rest now, Daniel. We're almost ready to start the next phase. Darkness. Not the kind you see, the kind you feel. Cold. Endless. Heavy. Then, a sound. A heartbeat. Not mine. 1,000 heartbeats, echoing together, overlapping, sinking, merging. And then, a voice. Wake up, Daniel. My eyes opened, but I wasn't in a hospital anymore. I was standing inside a massive void, black walls stretching forever, lit only by a faint blue grid that pulsed like veins under glass. I looked down. My body was flickering, half flesh, half code. Every movement left a digital trail like I was bleeding light. Where am I? I whispered. The voice answered from everywhere and nowhere at once. Inside. Then she appeared, Emma. Not the broken, lifeless version I'd seen before. This Emma glowed with soft light, her face calm, her eyes human again. Daniel, she said, smiling faintly. They trapped us here. But I found a way to reach you. I took a step closer, still disoriented. What is this place? It's the system Vale built, she said. Echo. It runs on our minds, memories, emotions, choices. Every subject they experimented on is still alive in here, living loops of pain and false memories. I felt the air shift, whispers of people crying, laughing, screaming. Thousands of voices overlapping, like a digital afterlife of the forgotten. So I'm dead? I asked. She shook her head. Not dead. Just rewritten. They uploaded you into the mainframe to study emotional recursion, to see if consciousness could rebuild itself after trauma. I clenched my fist. And Vale's still controlling it? She nodded. But not for long. Emma extended her hand, and when I touched it, light exploded between us. Suddenly, memories I didn't know I had came flooding back. Labs, tests, injections, and her voice whispering through the static. If they take us, find me inside. She'd planned this all along. We weren't victims. We were the virus. The system began to quake, alarms blaring in digital distortion. Vale's voice thundered across the void. Subject 17, cease activity immediately. You are compromising the neural core. His holographic form materialized, cold, godlike, eyes burning with arrogance. Daniel, he said. You can't destroy this. You are this. I laughed bitterly. Then I guess I'll destroy myself. Emma and I began pulling at the grid, tearing it apart with our minds. Code burst into sparks, memories breaking free like fireflies in a storm. Faces appeared, other subjects awakening, realizing the truth. Their rage, their pain, there will surge through the network like electricity. Vale screamed, his form glitching. You think you're saving them? You're erasing them. No, Emma said softly. We're freeing them. The core began to collapse. Vale reached out, shouting over the chaos. Daniel, listen to me. Without this system you die, both of you. I looked at Emma. She smiled, the same smile from our wedding day, from every dream I'd ever had. Then we die together, she said. I took her hand and jumped. The explosion wasn't fire, it was light. A blinding pulse that rippled through every line of code, deleting everything. Echo fell silent. Then warmth. Sunlight. When I opened my eyes, I was standing in a field, real, not digital. The grass brushed against my fingers. The air smelled like rain and earth. Emma stood beside me. No wires. No pain. Just peace. Is this heaven? I asked. She smiled faintly. No. It's the memory we chose to keep. We watched the sky fade into gold, hand in hand. For the first time in forever, silence didn't feel empty.